Hello, friends. Have you ever imagined the origins of Jakarta, the city that is now the capital of Indonesia? Today, Jakarta is known as a metropolitan city full of skyscrapers and heavy traffic. But in the past, Jakarta was a small port, very different from now. Long ago, this city was known as Sunda Kelapa, an important port on the west coast of Java Island. The name Sunda Kelapa comes from the many coconut trees that grew abundantly along its riverbanks. Back then, Sunda Kelapa was just a quiet little port, far from the hustle and bustle of today. Imagine, in the place now filled with malls and apartments, there used to be only coconut trees and simple fishing boats. Sunda Kelapa was located at a very strategic river mouth, making it an important trading center. Many traders from all over the world stopped here, bringing merchandise such as spices, fabrics, and ceramics. From spices to silk, everything was traded at this port. In the year 1527, the port of Sunda Kelapa was successfully captured by Fathahilla's troops from the Demak Sultanate. After that victory, the name Sunda Kelapa was changed to Jayakarta, which means perfect victory. From that moment on, Jayakarta continued to develop until it finally became the Jakarta we know today. Interesting, isn't it? Sunda Kelapa wasn't just an important port, but also a center for trade and a meeting place for different cultures. Traders from China, India, and even Europe came, bringing their rich cultures and goods. In the port's market, valuable goods like ceramics, textiles, and spices, which were the main attraction, were exchanged. Interactions between foreign traders and locals created a harmonious atmosphere of mutual respect. Guests from faraway lands were warmly welcomed and given the freedom to trade, enriching the social and cultural life of Sunda Kelapa. It's no wonder that Sunda Kelapa grew into a prosperous port and became a major hub for cultural interaction in the Nusantara archipelago. However, Sunda Kelapa's prosperity and cultural diversity attracted the attention of European nations who wanted to control the spice trade. The arrival of the Portuguese marked the beginning of a major change in the port's history. Resistance emerged to defend Sunda Kelapa's identity and sovereignty as a center of trade and culture. In the 16th century, the Portuguese arrived in Sunda Kelapa. They wanted to control the super-important spice trade in the area. They built a strong fort by the harbor to make themselves powerful and control all the trading. But the people of Sunda Kelapa weren't going to just stand by. A brave commander from Demak, Fathahillah, led a huge fight back with his army and the local people to take back their important port. A big battle happened on June 22, 1527. This was a really important moment in the city's history. Fathahillah and his army were really smart and brave, and they beat the Portuguese. They took back Sunda Kelapa. This win was a huge deal. It was the end of outsiders controlling the port. To show everyone it was a new beginning, Sunda Kelapa got a new name, Jayakarta, which means Victory City. This was a really important moment for the city. It became a center for trade, culture, and government in the area. Jakarta, once glorious as Jayakarta, soon faced a huge challenge. The arrival of the Dutch in the early 17th century brought strong colonial influence. Jayakarta was conquered and destroyed, marking the end of its golden age. On its ruins, the Dutch built Batavia with European architecture and grand canals. The city became a center of government and trade, bringing big social changes. Canals were built to control floods and make the city beautiful. But behind Batavia's splendor, there were big problems. Diseases like malaria spread because of poor sanitation. The native people lived in poverty and faced social pressure because of the colonial system. Hey everyone, let's go back in time to one of the most important chapters in Jakarta's history, the time of the VOC, or Dutch East India Company. After conquering Jayakarta in 1619, the VOC made Batavia their main headquarters in the East Indies. This was the start of a new era that changed the city forever. The arrival of the VOC brought many big changes to Jakarta. Big forts, canals, and European-style buildings started filling the city, turning Batavia into a busy colonial center. Trade boomed, attracting people from many different cultures: Chinese, Arab, Indian, and the native people, all looking for opportunities in the growing city. But this progress came at a cost. The VOC tightly controlled trade, monopolizing spices and other valuable resources. Many local people were forced to pay heavy taxes and do forced labor, which caused social tension and frequent conflicts. One of the most tragic events was the massacre of the Chinese community in 1740. a dark reminder of the harsh realities of that time. Economically, Batavia became the center of Dutch government and trade in Asia. The city's strategic harbor connected Europe with the riches of the Indonesian archipelago. Sadly, the VOC's exploitative policies also deepened the social divide and created inequality that shaped Jakarta's society for generations. Even today, the legacy of the VOC era is still visible. Historic places like Kota Tua showcase Dutch colonial architecture, while the canal system and street layout still reflect Batavia's original design. These remnants are silent witnesses to a complex and often turbulent past. By understanding the VOC chapter in Jakarta's history, we can appreciate how history has shaped the city's identity, reminding us to learn from the past as we build a more just and inclusive future. Hey friends, we're talking about Jakarta again. Back then, Jakarta was called Batavia, and it was controlled by a Dutch company called the VOC. Even though the VOC was really powerful, the people of Jakarta were still brave enough to fight back. During the 17th and 18th centuries, many heroes emerged in Jakarta. One of them was Prince Jayakarta. He led the resistance when the VOC first arrived. Prince Jayakarta became an inspiration for other fighters. Now, there was also Untung Surapati. He was once a slave, but he became a great leader. Surapati used guerrilla tactics, like hiding in the forest and attacking suddenly. He also collaborated with regional leaders. It really gave the VOC a headache. It wasn't just individuals, many groups also resisted. The Chinese community, for example, they were victims of a massacre in 1740. That's so sad. But they still bravely resisted the VOC secretly. The Javanese, Betawi, and other ethnic groups also joined the resistance. Sometimes they fought openly, sometimes they secretly damaged VOC property. Pretty cool, right? All of this resistance, big or small, was very important to Jakarta's history. It really weakened the VOC. More importantly, this resistance united the people of Jakarta. They had the same goal: freedom. Now, we can see monuments and street names that commemorate these heroes. They teach us about courage and the spirit of unity. Jakarta is not just a city of colonization, but also a city of fighters. Hey friends, this time we're going to talk about Jakarta's history, specifically the transition from the VOC, Dutch East India Company, to the Dutch East Indies government. Exciting, right? After many years of VOC rule in Batavia, their power started to weaken. Imagine, such a big trading company went bankrupt at the end of the 18th century. Jakarta was like a ship without a captain. Finally, in 1799, the Dutch government disbanded the VOC and took over Batavia. This was the start of a new era, the Dutch colonial administration. Unlike the VOC, which was focused on making money, this colonial government was more organized. They set up government offices, new laws, and a tax system. The city's appearance also changed. Many Dutch-style buildings started to appear, schools, hospitals, and new roads connecting Batavia to other areas in Java. But this change was a double-edged sword. There was progress, but there were also strict rules and forced labor. The Dutch controlled a lot of land and resources, making life difficult for the people. Society became divided, and local traditions were sometimes suppressed in favor of European customs. Despite all this, Batavia continued to grow. People from different backgrounds, Javanese, Chinese, Arab, and European, lived together, making Jakarta a bustling and diverse city. The seeds of modern Jakarta began to grow during this period, laying the foundation for future development. We can still see traces of the colonial period today, from the buildings in Kota Tua, Old Town, to the street names. Understanding this transition period is really important, so we can understand how Jakarta developed through struggle and adaptation into the big city it is today. Hey everyone, we're going to talk about the time after the VOC was dissolved and the Dutch colonial government took over. This is a new chapter in the struggle of the Indonesian people. Across the archipelago, resistance against colonialism grew stronger. Why? Because of the harsh policies and injustice of the new government. Let's get to know some of the heroes who became symbols of resistance. In Yogyakarta, there was Prince Diponegoro, who led the legendary Java War from 1825 to 1830. His struggle wasn't just about land, but also about dignity, religion, and the right to self-determination. This war shook the Dutch and inspired many people to join the fight. In Aceh too, fierce resistance raged for decades. Leaders like Kut Niak Dien, Tuku Umar, and Kut Motia became legends. They were very brave in defending their homeland. Their stories show the spirit of never giving up. In Jakarta itself, a movement for change began to grow. The establishment of Budi Utomo in 1908 and Sarekat Islam in 1912 marked the birth of modern Indonesian nationalism. These organizations united people from various backgrounds, instilling the seeds of national identity and the dream of independence. Major uprisings such as the Sipinang Prison Uprising and the Communist Uprising of 1926 showed that the people's patience had run out. Despite being harshly suppressed, the spirit for freedom grew stronger. The impact of these struggles was enormous. They paved the way for future generations, inspiring the leaders and thinkers who eventually proclaimed Indonesia's independence in 1945. Every act of resistance, big or small, became part of a great story of courage, unity, and hope. Through hardship and sacrifice, the spirit of Jakarta and Indonesia grew stronger. This proves that even in the darkest of times, the dream of freedom cannot be silenced. Jakarta played a key role in Indonesia's fight for freedom. This city was where the spirit of resistance grew and burned brightly, even though the colonists tried to erase the nation's identity. From all corners of Jakarta, the people rose up against Dutch rule. Nationalist groups were born and grew in Batavia, which became the center of the independence movement. The Japanese occupation brought big changes, including changing Batavia's name to Jakarta, marking a new chapter in the city's history. After the Declaration of Independence, Jakarta was officially named the capital of Indonesia, a symbol of the nation's unity and rebirth. After the Declaration of Independence, Jakarta was officially named the capital of Indonesia, a symbol of the nation's unity and rebirth. Over time, Jakarta has transformed into a modern metropolis, the center of government, economy, and culture. Amidst the splendor of modern buildings, Jakarta still holds priceless traces of its history in the struggle for independence. Let's care for and preserve Jakarta's historical heritage, so its important role in the nation's journey will always be remembered and inspire future generations. After gaining independence, Jakarta entered a new chapter as the center of Indonesian government, economy, and culture. Rapid urbanization brought tremendous population growth, leading to the construction of skyscrapers, toll roads, and modern mass transportation like the MRT and LRT to meet the mobility needs of millions of residents. Rapid economic growth opened up many opportunities, but urbanization also brought major challenges such as severe traffic jams, air pollution, and a growing social gap amidst rapid population growth. Jakarta is now home to millions of people from diverse backgrounds, who together shape the city's dynamic and multicultural identity amidst the flow of urbanization. Digital technology is increasingly permeating everyday life, helping Jakarta residents connect, innovate, and find creative solutions to the problems of urbanization and population growth. Although the challenges of a metropolis are not easy, the spirit of mutual cooperation and adaptation of the people of Jakarta continues to grow, becoming a hope for the city's future. The city faces the future with optimism, striving to be an environmentally friendly, inclusive, and sustainable city amidst the challenges of urbanization and population growth. Hope also grows that Jakarta will remain a symbol of Indonesia's progress, a place where history, innovation, and dreams of the future meet despite the ongoing challenges of urbanization and population growth. Hey friends, let's talk about how Jakarta is trying to become a city that's inclusive, sustainable, and good for the environment. Right now, Jakarta is at a really important point in deciding its future. Lots of tall buildings are going up, there are more and more green parks, and eco-friendly buildings are popping up all over the city. Jakarta's appearance is constantly changing to make a better city for everyone. But challenges like air pollution, traffic jams, and flooding are still big problems. Everyone in Jakarta has an important role to play in making the city inclusive and sustainable. There's a lot of innovation and new energy that makes us optimistic about Jakarta's future. Environmentally friendly transportation, like electric buses, is starting to show up to reduce pollution and make it easier for everyone to get around. Bike-sharing programs also support a healthy lifestyle and make it easier for everyone to get around. Advanced technology is being used to monitor pollution and manage natural resources efficiently. Community participation is also really important in building an inclusive city. Lots of people are starting to garden in the city and are active in reducing waste, creating a greener and healthier environment. Jakarta dreams of becoming a modern city that's comfortable, environmentally friendly, and welcoming to everyone. In the future, there will be more public spaces, use of renewable energy, and affordable housing for all. Jakarta's future is full of hope, with a long journey towards a more inclusive and sustainable city. Every challenge we face will strengthen our spirit of togetherness. We all hope Jakarta will become a city with clean air, smooth-running transportation, and a comfortable and prosperous life for everyone. A city that values its history, is open to innovation, and leads the way in sustainable development in Indonesia.